Hey, Ironclad fans, it's Dave with Ironclad. Hey, few things this morning. I figured we'll take a video over this because it's something I saw this morning that drives me nuts and something I've been asked about quite often here recently. D.O.T. compliance. Driving a commercial vehicle. How do I get in compliance? I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I'm going to give you guys some walking points. If you are moving freight, whether it's yours or not, across the state line, whether you live 1 mile from the state or 50 miles from the state or 1,000 miles from that state, you must have a US D.O.T. number at the least. Getting into the motor carrier numbers and all that, I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to deal with some stuff that I saw today. One of them was a Class B vehicle, which is 26,001 pounds or more, with air brakes, go through a red light when he had more than enough time to stop. Another thing is watching a commercial box truck drive down the road on 3 flat tires. They had no lights on. Yeah, it's not totally dark out, but still, dusk to dawn. That law's in effect for a reason. The lights should have been on fair and square. I have just under 2 million miles incident free. I've been, running annual DOT inspections for since about 2004. So I've been doing this quite a long time. This is how I made majority of my living, is helping people get in compliance, if you want to say it that way. If you're a driver for a company and you're crossing state lines, even if you don't cross state lines, here is a necessity for you. This is a mini version of what I'm going to get into here in a few minutes, but this will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Drivers, company owners, put one of these in your trucks, because moving freight, whatever you want to do, if you're driving a vehicle that's being used for commercial business, I don't know is not an excuse. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's one thing you have to remember. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. For less than $20, you can know the rules. If you're a business owner or you are doing annuals, the safety regulation handbook should be a must. And all the stuff I'm going to show you is available through jjkeller.com. That's who supplies my books and my manuals. The company that does these books, I don't know if it's J.J. Keller directly or who, but they're based out of Wisconsin. J.J. Keller and Associates been established since 1953. Great company to deal business with. Like I said, my supplies and stuff for all my annuals pretty much come from them. Great book to have. It has all the out-of-service violation orders in it. It has drug screens, whatever you need to do to help get in compliance is in this book. It's not all exactly easy to read because there's a lot of stuff in this. I've read this book front to back hundreds of times, but it is a necessity because the simple fact of, if a company does not require a driver's file, they do not send you for a drug screen, they are probably not a company to drive for. That's the law. Let's get the facts straight. That is the law. You must have a driver's folder on every driver, and they must be drug screened. That is the commercial law, whether you like it or you don't. If you're a business owner, the FMCSA compliance manual. This is how to comply with DOT regulations, safety manual. It has a lot of good information in it. If you look, well, you probably can't see it, but I have a lot of paper clips in this because I go through this a lot. I don't mind helping companies get in compliance or try to get in compliance. I don't do it for free. Let's be straight about this. I don't work for nobody when I do this. We're directly, this is what I do for a living. For most people that know me personally, I work multiple jobs. I have the company out here. I do work for other companies building stuff, and I do travel the state doing annual DOTs and helping people get in compliance. But let's get to the real tax of everything. If you're going to be in business, follow the laws. You can't keep scraping under forever. You need to have drivers that know what they're doing. So to the business owners, if your drivers can't cut the mustard, it's time to get rid of them and get some drivers that can cut it. If drivers, your business owners, are not cutting the mustard and they're not helping you keep compliant, it is time to move, because this stuff can wreck your life. Especially if you have a commercial license like I do, compliance, making sure all your stuff's done. If you're driving, you have to have a medical certificate to drive, especially if you're crossing state lines. This is something serious that, has been brought up to my attention by other people. And like I said, I just want to kind of get to the basics with you guys and let you guys know, hey, here's some things to look for if you're working for a company, or if you're an owner of a company getting into this. If you're an owner of the company, assess your risk in the 7 CSA basics. It's not totally perfect, but it has a lot of information in it. If you order your books or your paperwork, most of the time they don't even charge you. They'll give it to you for free. Like I said, I'm not bashing no person, no company at all. I'm just stating facts. If you don't like the facts, well, that's not my problem, because the severity of it is eventually the Department of Transportation will come and see you. So I'm just trying to give you guys a heads up, because I can name probably a good 20 companies off the top of my head that need to be in compliance that are not. And I can name hundreds of drivers that work for non-compliant companies, and I can name hundreds of drivers that shouldn't be driving commercial vehicles. I know a couple of guys that don't have a commercial license driving a Class A vehicle, which I have a Class A license, and I think that is highly stupid. I think there is a problem with that, especially if an owner for a company will allow that to happen. That tells you what he thinks of his own self, because ain't no one in their right mind going to put a non-Class A driver in a Class A vehicle. So if you don't like that, that is your problem, because that's the fact. And, I have no problem reaching out to the Department of Transportation, letting them know, as a driver, that is your responsibility. If you are forced to get in a truck, you take liability for that truck. You are required a pre-trip every morning. So if you get in that vehicle and you drive with it, you take responsibility for it. That's the rules. That's the regulations. It's a serious thing. There's a lot of rules and regulations that get bypassed, things like that, things that get overlooked. I got a light bulb out in my truck. It's an out-of-service violation, but drive to the nearest store, grab a light bulb, and throw it back in. Now, you're driving with a flat tire, that's not acceptable. Running red lights because you're going too fast to slow down, that is not acceptable. This is real life. You can kill people with these big trucks. And it's a frustration to me, because like I said, I have just under 2 million miles. I've never blew a light. Unless, well, I won't say that, because I had to go through a light because I had no choice. But simple fact of, as training, we learn to drive these trucks, and we learn to do this for a living. We have understood that these trucks don't stop on a dime. And if you wait till the last minute to stop a commercial truck, there's a problem. If you don't know how to secure your load properly, there's a problem. These are problems that I'm going to start addressing, one at a time. Probably, I don't know how much more we're going to start posting, but quite a bit. But I definitely going to start on the whole DOT side. People are asking, and probably the next thing we're going to do is load securement, maybe. I'm not for sure, but, load block bars. If you don't know what that is, you probably don't need to be driving a truck that you need them for. Because the fact that if you're driving a box truck and you're hauling a lot of loose stuff, you need to know what a load lock bar is. You can't ratchet strap everything to the wall and hope it's the best. If you're hauling palletized freight, you need to know how to secure it. If you're driving an 18-wheeler, 53-footer, you need to know how much from the front of the nose to 4 feet back you need. How much from there back. You need to know where you set your axles at. If you're driving through Tennessee, you're only allowed 41 feet to the rear axle. Things like that. So you need to know these rules and these regulations. But I figured we'll start with this and see what happens. For now, have a good one, Ironclad fans.